Putting all the speculation about what he would talk about today aside, the Prime Minister has focused in his 4 p.m. address today on what is basic and what is essential. Essentially, it could boil down to 2 points. One is that the pandemic is still here to stay. It hasn't gone anywhere. And that there needs to be the same kind of strict preventive measures that were taken in the early lockdown phases to be taken even now. And the second is that the poor and vulnerable people still need support. And even as the pandemic continues, they would still need to have food on their table, and that needed to be ensured. So that was the gist of what he spoke about today. To talk about the details, I'm going to turn to Tushar Gupta.
Hey Karan. So I think everyone was expecting the Prime Minister to speak on a variety of issues, especially after what happened last evening. We banned 58 apps and the biggest digital plague, TikTok. So everyone was really expecting the speech to be about China and the tensions we've been seeing in the Ladakh sector. It wasn't. Some were speculating it might be about the developments of a vaccine. It wasn't. Some were even expecting for a new lockdown to be announced, given we are seeing an increase in the number of cases. But turns out it was more to do with the poor people of India, the Pradhan, Mantri, Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. He wants to talk about that. And it's a great move, I think, supplying the poor people of India, which is 80 crore people. And the numbers really matter here, Karan. I think the Prime Minister to emphasize that it's almost 2.5 times the population of the United States. It's almost twice the population of Europe. And it's a big number in that sense, 80 crore people, 800 million people. And to help them with fruit grains for the next 5 months until the end of November, I think that's a very, very noble move. Not just that, actually, to have the one ration card across the country, that's also going to help migrants who are going to come back from the villages to the cities. So all in all, I think this speech had more to do with the lower income groups, with the poor people of the society, and to focus going forward and to put the focus going forward on food security, which will be a very, very big issue as we go from the lockdown phase to the opening phase of the economy.
Right. Tushar, especially this is very important in the light that people like you, me and others, we can actually afford to say work from home, or we can have alternate arrangements. But a lot of the poor and vulnerable sections, they don't have that sort of privilege. So sometimes they would have to scramble for jobs even as we are into these unlock phases. And to just give them the signal that no, we are with you, we are making sure that you have the food security is quite important, isn't it?
One thing I'm glad about, Karan, is that this announcement came very early. Unlike the RBI announcements which just came a week ago, about the moratorium and all, this announcement came way ahead of its time. Anyway, they were being supplied with the ration until August. And there were people who get worried. You're right. We can afford to work from home, but the poor people really cannot. And for them to know that their food security has been ensured until November, it will put them at ease. It can give them greater freedom when it comes to opting for jobs in the cities. They can plan better. Because see, for a lot of lower income groups in our country, it's probably difficult for people like us who spend most of their times on Twitter or on YouTube or, in our homes, in our comfort zones. It's very difficult to imagine what the needs of the lower income groups or the poor people of India, especially the ones in the rural areas. But what they really want primarily is food security for their families. And this move has guaranteed them so throughout the festival season, which will be at the end of the November. And I'm pretty sure if the need is warranted, the government will extend the program. And yes, what we saw in Anand Vihar, what we saw in Bandra, what was the entire crux of the situation? The migrants were worried that they would not get the food supply since their ration cards were only applicable in their villages. The ration card they had was registered in a certain village and they could only withdraw the food grains on that account. So now they are at ease that even if they go back to the cities, there's this idea of one nation, one ration card, which I feel has come 2, 3, 4 years too late. But at least it has come now. Given we have the Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, Mobile Trinity, the one nation, one ration card is a very good move. It will put the migrant workers at ease, the same migrant workers, some of them who had to suffer a lot when the lockdown was announced. Some of them had to walk back, and all of them were mainly concerned about the food security at the end because most of them were very vulnerable in terms of their income. They had no idea about how they'll ensure food security for the families. So all this puts it at ease. The one nation, one ration card, I think excellent move, even if it's a tad bit late. It's been spoken about a lot in the media circle. It's not something very novel or something new. It's been spoken about for a year and a half now, but at least it's coming now. And I would be interesting to see how the state governments, how the registration process for this entire thing works. How does it link up with Aadhaar, and how is it implemented on the ground? Because the PM announcing it is one thing, the implementation of it would be another. And I'm confident that it will be implemented given how we've seen the success of Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and mobile. So if they can replicate the same success with the one nation, one ration card, I think they'll be doing the migrants a big favor, not just for now, not just for the next 5 months, but I think for the next 5, 10, 15 years.
Right. Tushar, also, the Prime Minister spoke about us entering the monsoon season, and then he sort of went on a list of festivals that he was naming. Now, is that an indication that our unlock stages are pretty much going to stretch out all the way up till November or maybe even after that?
It's a good question, and at the risk of being speculative, Karan, I'll just link two different things. One, the PM has taken care of the migrant workers and the rural people. 80 crore people, it's not a small number, it's a huge number until November. So somewhere even the government feels that the entire economy might not open up by then. The entire rural population may not be back to the cities, may not be earning again. So somewhere they're anticipating now that the entire economy won't open until Diwali. Let's take that benchmark for now. Now, if you link it with other industries, I'll take the example of entertainment. Hotstar just yesterday announced that they were going to have 7 big movies on their platforms. And even they are not looking for any big release, the movie industry, before Diwali. So, if you add these things up, one really feels that earlier we were anticipating that by 15th August, I think we could have gone for a complete opening up of the economy. Yes, we are opening up. The Prime Minister has said that we'll open up in phases. We'll make sure that the industries are put back on their feet, the demand, supply, everything goes back to normal. But somewhere even the government feels that even if they throw open the gates to the economy, people won't be that participative right away because the cases are still increasing. Every day we are getting in excess of 15,000 new cases. Now the Prime Minister is right. Fortunately, the number of deaths in India has been low. However unfortunate the death, every death is unfortunate. But we cannot ignore that the percentage of deaths fortunately in India has been low, and we have to maintain that trajectory. We have to maintain the recovery trajectory. But at the same time, I think the government is anticipating that the people will not come out even if the economy is open, if the lockdown is lifted. So I think, yes, we are in the long haul for this. The school, the colleges, they might not be opening very soon, not at least till August 15. So, of course, a lot will depend on how the number of cases increase in the next few days, because suddenly we are witnessing the peak in Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu and Delhi, NCR, and even in Northeast India now. Northeast India, for the entire duration of the lockdown, dealt pretty well. The Prime Minister is right that as soon as the Unlock 1 was announced, people have become very careless. You can see the masks are being thrown apart. The people are not maintaining the social distancing norms. So I think he made a very good statement there that if a Prime Minister of a country can be fined for not wearing the masks, the people really need to up the ante when it comes to personal hygiene, when it comes to mask wearing in public. And I think we'll see some of that implementation on the local level.
Right, Tushar, and just to add to your list, I think the city where I'm living, Bangalore itself, is starting to see a spike in cases, which for all this while it wasn't seeing. Also, I think, Tushar, for our viewers, I think we would like to echo the Prime Minister's message in taking all the preventive measures that you should take in terms of social distancing, wearing the masks, and taking care of yourself and your family. It's very important because the pandemic is still here to stay. Thank you so much, Tushar, for joining us on this episode.